Staying healthy is important, and staying healthy isn't just about what you eat or exercise. It's also mental health. That's a big part of your overall well-being. More and more millennials struggling with mental health problems, including anxiety and depression, and it can start as soon as people get to college. A nonprofit group formed by the University of Florida students helps young professionals and students get the help that they need. It's a group called Than Stigma. The group's founder is with us this morning, Gabrielle Magid. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So I was asking you over the break, what is this that really sparks that? Because college should be one of the best times of your life, but for some, it can be a very stressful time.
Sure. I mean, being a student is very difficult in this day and age where it's never good enough just to be where you're at. You're always getting to the next step. And, in high school, it's all about, are you going to get into college? Which college? You got to be competitive against your classmates. Then when you're in college, you're competing for the jobs afterwards, having to pick the major that, we think will define our entire careers. And really, that's not true. But all of this pressure builds up. And because mental health issues are a mixture of genetics and environment, being under this constant stress is really not great for your mental health.
So the main mental health issues that we're seeing among millennials would be anxiety and depression.
Yes.
How are people able to kind of combat that problem?
I mean, it's difficult. You definitely, when you're seeking treatment, a lot of it is talking about it. So therapy, medication is sometimes used. And it's really just being comfortable in your own skin enough to reach out for help and say, I'm not quite feeling like myself. And I think that I need to do something about it.
Would your first advice be to go to maybe like one of the counselors on college campus? Or what if you've graduated college? What if you just graduated? And people, what are the resources for those?
Sure. I mean, that's like the abyss because you've graduated.
That's what's really scary.
Yeah, now you're out in the real world and you have to deal with insurance to get help. But Than Stigma, we found that void on college campuses where you have access to all these free resources, and yet people are still not reaching out for help, whether they're embarrassed about seeing them or they just don't know that these resources exist because they've never dealt with the problems before. A lot of times, students don't have like a mental health ed kind of course where they don't understand that some of the things that they're dealing with that pop up are actually symptoms.
That was going to be my next question. What are the signs and symptoms? What if you live with somebody who deals with it and you think, something's not right here? What should you be on the lookout for? Because I know a lot of college kids obviously have roommates. So.
Sure. I mean, it varies from person to person, and the kind of symptoms that you see with mental health related issues kind of vary on the spectrum. Like, for instance, sleeping too much or sleeping not enough. So it's kind of hard to say like, I noticed this in you. So it's really just anything that isn't like you, that's when...
Out of ordinary.
Out of the ordinary, definitely. And it's, it's all about just recognizing that and not judging yourself for it and taking the steps you need to get help.
And this is something, too, that, I said, well, is it just millennials or is it, did the previous generation see this when they were in this time in their lives as well? This is something that everybody has kind of dealt with at some point, right? Or is it harder now?
No, I'm sure that all generations deal with these issues. I can't speak to that. I wasn't around then. But, 1 in 4 people deal with a mental health issue at some point in their lifetime, so we're all connected to it. But I think that the millennial generation grew up with parents that really care about them. If they have them in their lives and they're lucky enough to have them in their lives, they're putting pressure on, what are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do to get into college? All of these things. And, as kids that want to respect their parents, we're trying to do that. And
live up to those expectations.
Exactly. But they've got their own expectations. We have expectations of ourselves. College is very expensive, so you're graduating without the guarantee of a job and in debt. I mean, that's scary stuff.
That is a little stressful. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And the group's event is happening tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at Nighthawks. So it's a comedy benefit show. It's called Solid Laugh Advice. It's located on 2952 Roosevelt Boulevard. If you want to have a good laugh and maybe ease some of that stress, you should head over and head to our website, news4jax.com. There's more information on the morning show. We're going to post it after the show. Please share it with people who you know that could be affected by this.